this how you do it? I think this is how you do it. So come on, ladies and gentlemen, come on in and meet these wonderful filmmakers. Filmmakers as well as actors. You want to come on over and you can join us at the table. Come on in. If you've got some questions, we want to hear them. Don't be shy. It's a very informal thing. And if this goes well, we'll all hit to the bar and do it there. But I only have 2 minutes. I want to run over and introduce the next movie, so I want to introduce you to our two filmmakers and one of the actors of the films. So on this side of the... Bring Carl. All right. Well, on this side of the table is the movie I'm Fine, and the executive producer, Anne Marie, is here. On the other side over here is the director of A Farmer's Road, John Murray. John, I bet you didn't know that John Murray is the name of Joseph Naper's brother-in-law who started this town. So how do you like that?
I did not.
There you go. A little bit of trivia, what the heck. I'm going to leave you to it. Ask away. They'll answer you. Feel free to just come right up and ask your questions and enjoy.
Thank you.
I'm going to give you the microphone. Go ahead and yell out your question, and then I'll leave that with you to answer.
That's a question for you, I can
Okay,
see.
so the main farm that you profiled in this movie was not organic, and as somebody who really loves science, I appreciated that. And I was just wondering, like, if you find that in the slow food movement, I'm curious what your opinion is on organic versus non-organic foods, and like where you find most of the slow food movement. Do you find that they kind of appeal to the organic, like naturalistic type things, or do you find a lot of science and give people in their own?
Well, I think we have to get straight with the rules and procedures and policies that govern organic farming. And right now it's way more political than it is anything else. And so, as Wes pointed out in the film, one shot of penicillin to a goat one time and they have to completely remove it from the herd. There's a way to do that in a safe manner, and then to have checks and balances so that you make sure that that doesn't get back into the milk and those kinds of things. So there's a rigidity and a unforgivingness that I think needs to be looked at, because it's just a little too political, my opinion.
The year the film was done?
It was completed. So I started in 2011, 10, at the end of 10 and 11, and finished in 2015. So it took me about 5 years.
Oh my God. Very good.
Yeah, thank you.
We're all into that movement. I
Yeah.
grew up on a farm.
Okay, well, thank you very much for coming out.
What was the inspiration for create that movie?
It wasn't really inspiration. It was this reality check. A really good friend of mine, his son committed suicide here in Naperville, and the conversation was sparked. And I teach high school students out of my studio, and I help them make their films, and I also teach college students. And it's this expectation that they all feel that they have to live up to a certain standard, a certain income level eventually, and it's too much pressure. And so they either turn to heroin or suicide. And so since I can't solve the heroin problem, I figured I would approach the simplest one of mental health. And so sitting down with about, I would say 35 high school students over a month period and listening to them and the expectations and the frustrations of what they have to do to get in college, how they have to get good grades, they have to have the part-time job, they have to get an internship before they even get into college. And I'm like, so what happened to your childhood? And they go, we didn't really have one. So they all, most of them acted out. Some of them into like partying really hard or trying a drug. None of them at that particular meeting, any of the meetings had done heroin, but they've been tempted because it was a release. And I said, how many of you thought about suicide? And 90% of them raised their hand. So when I have a group of 35 high school students in front of me and they're all willing to think about suicide, then it needs to be a discussion. So that was kind of where we went, but it wasn't like I don't want to talk about suicide directly, because we wanted to approach the idea of where you turn, because we put a stigma on having a mental health or being depressed, or, well, that person's this and that person's that, and with all the school shootings and everything like that, we wanted to address that part of it and that mental health and saying, you know what, I'm going to just say it. I'm going to own it. I'm depressed, and you need to lay off, kind of thing. So that's where that came from. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Are you able to promote it in the schools?
Actually, it is being currently screened in multiple high schools throughout Chicago to start the conversation. Yeah, that's what Carl and Hope for the Day have been doing, is definitely getting it into the high schools. So it just starts the conversation about mental health. But he can speak to that.
Yeah, so for the plan came together with working with teens and students in the community in Naperville. But the long-term goal with the short film, now beyond NIF, is that we plan to be putting as part of Hope for the Day's activations in schools. So we're already committed in Northern Illinois to several high schools and colleges, and we work in North America basically coast to coast. So it becomes part of our package where we have a guided discussion piece that either our own staff or school clinicians, even teachers, can lead after the film to sort of follow up and just help establish the conversation and create an outlet for people to get some ideas and feelings out in a sort of non-confrontational way.
It's nice to hear that you're in colleges too, because I think that cross-community stuff is pivotal.
Yeah. Well, our primary demographics. Well, I'd say Hope for the Day's primary demographics are what might be the broad, like, youth, sort of junior high to college age. I think we're really fortunate that with the final product of this film, the filming was strong, the writing was strong. Thank you, April. So that, and obviously the performances were so strong that this becomes something that has a real shelf life for us. And that's really a credit to, like, the whole production team as well. Yeah, we were really fortunate. So.
Are the farmers still in business? Are they still doing what they're doing?
Yes, they are. So the road was built, and it took about 15 months. They took a little bit of a break in the deepest part of winter when it was so cold. So if you can picture in your mind the scene where he's telling the woman, the customer, which direction it's going to go, it's literally about 100 yards just south of their property line. And they dug a 5-acre borrow pit there. Roughly 16 hours a day, there were earth-moving machines moving that stuff for 6 months straight to build this bridge over the railroad tracks. Now, their argument was if they were to just go a quarter of a mile, maybe even a half a mile to the north of that, there's a natural crossing. So they spent $20 million on a bridge that, quite frankly, didn't have to be built. They could have still had that road happen just a little bit farther north. And so, what they say jokingly now is, thank you, state of Illinois, for spending $20 million on making a big, long driveway for me. So they're trying to be optimistic about it, but it was a brutal year because it really hurt business. There was in rural environments, it's not just a 1-block detour. It was literally like a 4-mile out of the way kind of a thing, which was enough to push customers away.
But they're still there. They're still doing it.
Yes, they are. Prairie Fruits Farm and Creamery. They're still doing dinners on the farm. It's a fantastic.
Website or something? I'd love to Google them and then go down and buy some cheese.
Yeah, so the name of the farm is Prairie Fruits Farm and Creamery, and it's prairiefruits.com. My website, which you can then link to theirs, is afarmersroad.com, all one word, A Farmer's Road.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Oh, I want to talk to you.
Pardon?
Okay. Oh, I want to know if you were surprised.
I've been working in film for 25 years, but this is my first directorial project. I'm a sound designer by history, so I've done a lot of that kind of work, and this story I just once I came across it, I couldn't get it out of my head for months. And typically, when that happens,
Oh, no, you're fine.
that's an indication that I need to do something with it.
Okay.
So,
Well, good.
thanks for coming out.
Oh, no, it was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Everybody just kind of... Is this it? I mean, are there more questions coming?
There's too many stories to tell.
Oh, I know. I get too involved. Like I've been banned from going to Rwanda because I was helping with a documentary about
Yeah.
Rwandan refugees.
Man, what a topic that is.
Oh, you don't even want to know half of it.
No.
The president of Rwanda knows my face. That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
Because I got in his face.
Yeah.
So, but
So, I mean, narrative, I love doing sound design for narrative films. There's so much more just precision that doesn't fit with my style
Right.
of how I want to work on a film from a director's point of view. I really love, and maybe one day I'll get tired of this and do that, but right now I really love just turning the camera on life and not coming to it with any kind of preconceived notions and seeing what kind of story evolves. And so, anyway.
that's cool.
Yeah,
And I just find it easy to find a script, shoot it, finish it, move on.
And that works for a lot of people.
Yeah,
a lot of people. And
no.
so far, not so much for me.
Yeah,
But,
I've done my share of
Yeah.
documentaries, and I enjoy them. They're just so much work, and
yeah.
they're good for you. It's a lot of work.